Hey, what's up and welcome back to Boxes and Bubbles, where today we're looking at Saga number 55, published by Image Comics. Written by Brian K. Vaughan, with art by Fiona Staples, letters and design by Fonographics. It's back! After a hiatus of a little over 3 years, this month marks the return of Brian K. Vaughan and Fiona Staples' space fantasy Saga. Saga. It really feels like seeing an old friend again, who's been away for a while, and finding out that they haven't changed a bit. All the trademark Saga story moments are here. Something shocking, something touching and emotional, and something, horny. If you didn't read Saga 1 to 54, 55 cleverly lets us catch up with all the main players, but also reminds us of where we left them. It's a place that you can join the story if you've never read Saga before, and while that's a nice option to have for new readers, oh man, don't do that! If for no other reason than Saga is so much fun and such a roller coaster. You'll be doing yourself a disservice not to go back and read it from the start. To talk about this issue, I'm going to avoid story spoilers as much as I can. There was a big cliffhanger 3 years ago, and while it's somewhat resolved this time, with an asterisk, I have some thoughts about that, I want to avoid saying anything about how until the end of the video. So stick around until then if you want to get into spoiler stuff. Let's get back to it. We rejoin the characters after a time jump of 3 years, which was a cool little touch. Hazel's a bit bigger, and times are tough. She's become a petty thief, which lands her in some trouble, but she's able to luck her way out of it. Alana's taken up something new too. She's selling formula milk on the street, and she's come up with a pretty bold and effective sales tactic. Unfortunately, she doesn't have a permit to be selling though, and she gets into some trouble with the law too. This time, a police force made of entities whose bodies are entirely made of fire. That's another thing about Saga that's really nice to have back. There are countless races and creatures in this universe, each with a bonkers design. There's no style guide at all, and in a weird way, that's what makes it all work. When each and every race is so crazy and so different from any of the others, being unusual and wildly different to all the rest becomes the only rule. Speaking of bizarre new creatures, her business partner is a character named Bombazine, who's some kind of large amputee koala man? Cool. There's another addition to the group. Though since it was pretty much expected, I'd say it was not much of a spoiler. The Robot Princeling has stayed with Alana and Hazel, though he's been mute for the past 3 years, communicating only with his hands. Remember, he has a screen in his face, which seems to subconsciously react to the robot's thoughts or feelings. Even that appears not to be functioning. He's getting therapy from a doctor, who Alana's having trouble paying for, which brings me on to something interesting. Upon her return home to the rocket house, Alana says, "Mama loves you too, Squirt," to the Princeling. She's also been working hard on the street, selling her wares to make money to take care of him and Hazel and pay for his treatment. That feels like a big shift for Alana, who had previously been a lot more rough and ready. Which was fair enough really, given that she lived on the run for years and years, with a baby. She's not only taken Princeling in, but grown to love him over the 3 years that we've jumped. And not only that, she's become the kind of person to say so. Hazel wants to show Princeling what she got in trouble for stealing, and that moment is so incredibly sweet that I got glassy-eyed reading it. That's all I can say without giving it away, but it was so lovely that I don't want to spoil it. Showtime doesn't last long though, because something has intercepted the tree ship. The kids need to hide and be quiet, just in case the ship is boarded by space pirates! Why would space pirates be after them in the first place? You gotta read the issue yourself to find out. And that's all I can really say without giving away the important moments. There's a lot of stuff I missed out in order to stay spoiler free. What's next is a pretty big spoiler for both this issue, kind of, and issue 54. So if you don't want to hear it, now's the time to bounce. Okay? Ready? Alright. A big chunk I missed out of the earlier review is the will, reaching Reef and meeting Gwendolyn, along with our old friend, Lion Cat. If you remember, Gwendolyn had wanted Marko dead since the beginning of the series, and after the will stabbed him in issue 54, we've been left wondering whether or not he survived for 3 years. Gwendolyn is super happy when the will presents her with a horned skull. So happy that she, well, this is about all I can show you of their meeting, put it that way. They have a very unusual and sudden sex scene during which they talk business the entire time. You'd guess that if the will delivered Gwendolyn Marko's skull, that Marko must be dead, right? But I've seen this kind of thing too many times to believe it right away. This is Saga we're talking about. This series pulls no punches and doesn't shy away from explicitly showing the deaths of major characters. But a totally fleshless skull? Well, a skull isn't a head, is it? This could totally be a double bluff for incredulous types like myself, but I need a little bit more proof that this skull really is Marko's before I believe it. After all, the will has no motive for wanting him dead, besides getting in Gwendolyn's good graces. So using someone else's skull to report the death to her isn't impossible. Now, Gwendolyn does mention that the rings that Marko and Alana have been wearing are connected. If Marko died, Alana should have felt it. But don't forget that Marko was inside the star-nosed mole assassin's strange jellyfish spaceship, encased in a purple pyramid. Is it possible that the connection was severed by it, meaning that Alana didn't feel his death, only the rings losing their connection? I could be seeing things that aren't there, but having the skull be the thing that this all hinges on made me wonder. It feels so good to have Saga back again, and I can't wait to see where all of this is going. But until next time, if you're interested in any other comic books that came out recently, check out the rest of my channel for some more spoiler-free reviews. And give me a follow on Twitter at Boxes&bubbles to hear about some more comics that I read every week but don't have time to make videos for. And again, while I got you here, I need to ask a small favour. On YouTube, you get to have your own custom URL if you have 100+ subscribers. I have 45, so I'm not even halfway there yet. But if I get there, hopefully my videos will be able to start showing up in searches, which means people will be able to find my channel by themselves, and then I won't have to keep asking you like this at the end of videos, which makes me feel awkward and a bit bleh. So if you enjoyed this video or any of the others on my channel, please give me a sub, and a thumbs up will really help me as well. Thank you so much!